Hello, everybody. We want to extend a warm welcome to everyone joining us online via Zoom and YouTube and Facebook, and also everybody who phoned in. So welcome, welcome, welcome to all. We're very excited that you joined us this evening. I'm happy to share that we're going to be continuing our online meditations on Sundays, Tuesdays, and Fridays through the end of June. So whatever link you use to join us tonight, you can continue using that through the end of June. And before moving forward, we want to make sure that you're familiar with the Zoom chat box. If you have any challenges during the call, you can reach out to the host via the chat box. To get there, if you look at the picture on your screen, Zoom has a little chat box down underneath, about in the middle, and if you click that, you'll be able to reach out to the host. Also in that chat section, later during the meditation, you'll have helpful links to allow you to offer a gift to Awake Yoga Meditation or offer a gift to our dear Swami Nityananda. And if at any time you find yourself off of the Zoom call, if you go down to your computer's taskbar, there should be a little blue box with a movie camera, a white movie camera in the middle of it. And if you click that, it'll bring you right back to our Zoom call. So that's all from me at this moment, and I'm happy to introduce Acharya Premadas.
Welcome everybody to our Friday night healing service. It's really wonderful to get to be with you all. And we're going to begin tonight with a meditation. And so before the meditation, we'll offer the Gayatri Prayer in English. It's an ancient Sanskrit prayer offered by millions and millions of people over the years. And then after we offer the Gayatri together, then I will introduce us to a 10-minute silent meditation. So if you like, please join us in this wonderful, sweet, ancient yogic prayer. Let us meditate on the glory of that effulgent reality from whom the whole universe is projected. May that radiance enlighten our hearts, minds, and lives. If we'll all be seated comfortably in the meditative posture, with hands placed on the thighs, palms turned upward, with spine, neck, and head erect and eyes closed, with vision mentally lifted and firmly established to the spiritual eye just between and above the eyebrows at the center of the forehead, at the center of pure consciousness, with the love and the joy of our being. Let each of us silently repeat to ourselves, divine grace, illumine us. Lead us from the unreal to the real, from darkness to light, through death to immortality. Amen. Welcome, everybody. So our topic tonight is to ask ourselves, and more so to discover for ourselves, what it is that we really, really want for our lives. What do we truly want for our lives? This may sound like an odd place to begin, but I would like you, either now or at another time, take a moment and imagine yourself at the time of your transition from this physical life, this mortal life. And as you do so, and you're conscious, aware, and you look back on your life, imagine yourself feeling fulfilled, that what you truly, most deeply wanted for your life was fulfilled, that you accomplished that is done. So that transition, that very precious, sacred transition, is one of peace, even one of joy, of gladness, of celebration, of thanksgiving, of fulfillment. Nothing more needed to be done. It was all done. So if you would take time, you may ask, well, as I look back then, what is it that I really, truly, most deeply wanted for my life? What is it that I fulfilled? Each of us has a voice. Each of us is an expression, a demonstration, a manifestation of life, of pure love made manifest on earth in human form. So here we are. And what would you like to have your life have been? So it's interesting, if you imagine walking, let's say, over to the other side of the room, and you imagine yourself having gotten to the other side of the room, you may find that the path may not have been a straight line. May have been zigs and zags and jogs and detours, things that you needed to take care of. But in the end, imagine yourself having reached the other side of the room, having reached that moment in your life when you are fully ready to make your transition, joyfully having completed. So finding what our voice is. Nobody can tell us what our own full self-expression in this life is to be. As I was reflecting on this, it occurred to me that in a way, each of us has a promise that we've made for life. What is the promise that we have made to life? What have we come here to express? Now, the form may vary. Certainly the form will vary for each of us. But the purposeful expression of what it is that we are here to express is unique and precious It is a vibration, it is an energy, and it is important for us to find what that is for ourselves so that we can fulfill that promise that we made to life. That which we vowed we would do in this life. To fulfill our vow, our promise. I want you to know that I hope and pray for that, for each of you, for each of us, for all beings. It may be for some people that they don't actually get clear about and fulfill what it is they wanted to express. So let us not be that. Let us discover and dedicate ourselves to that. So that may take some work. That may take some effort, that may take some concentration, some practice, some unfolding. One of the things that I encourage us to do is to explore for ourselves in our real life experience, not out of concept or theory or belief, but really, really for ourselves to discover not only what that is that we want most to voice, to express, to manifest in this lifetime. Where do we look? Where do we look to discover what that is? So I imagine there are lots of places. We may get an inkling. And I encourage all of us to dive into that inner sense of knowing and explore that and explore it fully and deeply. And then to hold it lightly and then to see more deeply and more honestly and more clearly, is this it? Is this what I'm really wanting? Is this fulfilling my hopes and dreams for my life? Again, nobody can know what that is for you. And it is for you alone to discover. That is a precious gift for each of us to awaken to and discover, and then to fulfill and to live into that kind of a future. To live into a future when all is said and done. Yes, that was it. This has been a life fulfilled. An important thing to recognize is that what I'm referring to here is deeper than circumstances or conditions, which are outer circumstances, outer conditions. Perhaps we have pursued certain outer conditions, outer circumstances, and when we have acquired those or accomplished those things, if we still have within us a sense of unsatisfactoriness, of unfulfillment, that's a wonderful clue for us that those conditions and circumstances are not the source of the deepest, most meaningful peace, fulfillment, joy, happiness for us in our lives. That is not to deny the pleasure, the joy, the pleasantness, all of the qualities of circumstances and conditions. This is not a denial of outer circumstances and conditions, but it's a recognition that what we bring with us in consciousness to all circumstances and conditions, that is what is going to determine our genuine, authentic experiences of those conditions and circumstances. So we may seek and seek and seek and seek and look and search and sometimes find, looking for something to fill us up, to satisfy us, to give us enough satisfaction, enough pleasure, enough fulfillment of that sort that we are deeply happy. But unfortunately, if our happiness is conditioned on, dependent upon those circumstances, then when those go away, then necessarily our happiness, our satisfaction, our joy also will be influenced, impacted. So we are looking for a satisfaction, a joy, a satisfactoriness that is not dependent on outer conditions, but is defined, determined, created, caused by an inner satisfaction, fulfillment with all circumstances, with all conditions. So how do we get that? Where do we go? How can we accomplish that? So the teachings of the Buddha offer us some ways, some clues, some road signs, some pointers as to where we can look to find that which is beyond the conditioned, beyond the circumstantial. So it's very much a matter of our relationship with all circumstances and all conditions. One way of getting at this is, who am I? Who am I being that this outer circumstance or condition occurs to me this way, that I experience it in this way? There are people who can encounter, who can meet the most incredible circumstances in their lives, and they can be entirely, completely at peace. And those can include things that we might at least initially think of almost impossible to experience peacefully, joyfully. Any kind of poverty, any kind of suffering, any kind of physical dis-ease, any kind of ailment or illness. It is possible to experience even those, all those, with a peace and a graciousness, with a non-resistance, with an acceptance. And then to move forward into life, meeting those circumstances and conditions with a gentleness of heart, with a receptivity, with a non-resistance, with a non-aggression, a non-pushing away, a non-attachment, a non-aversion, allowing everything to be just as it is in this moment. So that's a big thing. That's a huge thing to accomplish. And extrapolating a little bit is that at that moment of departure, of transition from this mortal body, that we are so well established in bringing to all of life our joy, our heart, our willingness, our enthusiasm, our laughter, our playfulness, our inclusivity, so that no matter what the circumstance, it is what we are bringing to that provides us a kind of fulfillment and a joy and a peace. So that whatever happens, just imagine through time all of the circumstances of life, all the conditions, varying, changing, improving, getting worse. Certainly in these times with current social events, there is much injustice in the world, much that needs healing. And so it is what you and I bring to that injustice that creates the greatest possibility for healing, for transformation. Transformation means not trying to change or fix or resist or fight, but it means meeting all of those conditions with a heart much greater than a single solitary heart that we possess. But as we come together in stillness and love and kindness and generosity of spirit together, joining together, all of us together, as we touch that place of love, each of us, deeply, undisturbedly, imagine being able to meet life so well established, so firmly rooted in that sense of relatedness and connectedness, so that, yes, even these worst circumstances, and then we can, rather than react, we can be responsive. We can really see the kinds of changes that are going to make sustained, lasting difference, so that we're not pushing back against the circumstances, against the injustice, but we're joining together and rallying and finding creative solutions that, unless we move beyond the resistance and the fighting, we will, so long as we're in that place of resistance and fighting and trying to change those circumstances, we are simply going to keep them stuck. But when we go to that responsiveness, to that allowingness, it seems contradictory, it seems impossible. But the answer to this is never going to be found in the source of it. And the source of it is in finiteness, is in misunderstanding, it is in illusion of who we are, it is in a misidentification of ourselves as these mortal bodies, or these thoughts, or these feelings, or all of this accumulation, and that we identify with that very, very limited sense of ourselves. And so it's for us to expand the sense of who it is, not only that we believe ourselves to be, but who it is that we know ourselves to be. That all my sisters and brothers are my human family, that I am them, they are me, we are one. There is no separation. And remembering to move beyond just the human family to the whole family of all of life on the planet and beyond the planet. So one of the ways that we can move beyond our limited identification with this finite self, this individualized expression, this individualized voice, is to practice meditation. And I think we all know there are many, many techniques. We can use the technique, we do use the technique, and we practice and we sit and we concentrate and we focus our minds. We practice, we return to our mantra, we return to our breath. And then I really hope that we will then sit in the stillness that is beyond the technique. The technique is wonderful and precious and sacred and imperative and important for us. But beyond the technique itself is what it transports us to, is a sense of stillness, a quieting of the mind. And in that quieting of the mind, we dissipate. We can merge into something that is beyond the sense of individualized self. This sense of individualization is wonderful in many, many ways, and it is limited. And what we are always encouraged to do is to move beyond limitation in every form that we encounter in our lives. Again, not by resistance, not by fight, all of which is a form of violence if we look deeply into it. Ahimsa is nonviolence. It is moving into a state of nonviolence, of non-reactivity, into acceptance, into pure love. And so we move into that stillness we move beyond the identification with this individualization, and we expand. We expand our sense of self beyond limitation. And then wherever we encounter limitation on every level of consciousness, we are encouraged to move beyond and move beyond and move beyond. A simple way of thinking about that or considering that is we could move beyond our identification with ourselves as an individual. And then so we could expand that into a sense of relatedness or connectedness or oneness with one other person, with a beloved partner or a friend. And so we've expanded beyond this limited sense of I to you and I. So oneness in that form, in that level. Or then we can expand from that level, which in its necessarily it also is limited. And so we expand beyond that identification with our beloved to perhaps family. And then sitting in the consciousness of what it means to be family, we can move beyond that. Again, that's another limited, nothing wrong with it. It's just there's something more for us, and we move beyond family into our community. And so imagining ourselves being one and joined with a whole community. And then we're encouraged to move beyond whatever that community. It could be a spiritual community, a religious community, any group with whom you love to be and spend time with and to interact and to grow and expand. So beyond that community, moving beyond that limited sense, that finite sense, to a broader community. It could be the community of human life. And then recognizing that that too is finite, and we can expand beyond that to the community of all of life on our planet. But again, moving beyond all sense of you or me. So you or me as individual, you or me as in relationship, or you or me as family, as community, as human life, as the whole community of life, moving beyond and expanding and expanding and expanding. That's what we're encouraged to do. As we move out into each subsequent layer or level of consciousness, of expansiveness, of realization of oneness, when we look back at the more finite level, we will see solutions, answers to questions that perhaps will not be available or visible to us so long as we're in the consciousness of the limitation of that group, of that level of consciousness. So the topic tonight is, what do I want for my life? So it's a little bit of a trick question. If you look at what, and I mentioned circumstances and conditions, and that perhaps the deepest satisfaction and joy for ourselves, the peacefulness, the unalterable or the unconditioned is beyond circumstances and conditions, and it's to perhaps another word would be how. How do I want to be in my life in all circumstances and conditions? Those pleasant or those unpleasant, or in neutral circumstances and conditions. So meeting all of those, what is it that rather than trying to get something from life, trying to get satisfaction or peace or joy? Another possibility is to, what am I bringing to? What am I giving to life? It's my experience is that whatever it is that we really truly want from life, is that if we will give that to life, then the need to try and acquire that simply falls away. We are finding within ourselves the ability to give that to all beings, to all of life. So that's a great approach, is as we inquire into, well, what do I really want in my life? What's really meaningful? What's meaningful, so that when I am at that time of departure, that I can say, yes, 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 I did it. What I always hoped for, yes, and give that to life. That is a force to be reckoned with. That is a fulfillment that nobody can touch, nobody can withhold, nobody can even give it to us. Nobody can provide that for us. Is that we find that within ourselves and we give that to life. So that is the what of the question. What do I really want in my life? So another way of expanding, and I touched on this, is by expanding from all levels of limitation, is what do I want in my life? I mentioned that we all have a promise for life. Another great question to consider is, what does life want? Is to look into life and to see deeply what is wanted, what is needed by life. What is life asking for? Perhaps the promise that we made was to come and to look deeply into life. And this is really worthy of our time, I believe. Look into what life asks from us. Perhaps the promise that we made wasn't a specific promise to do a specific thing or at a specific place or a specific time, but really maybe the promise that we've made to life is to show up and to respond and to give to life what life would have from us, would love from us. And then we can give that to life. So what is wanted and needed at our time? It's a great question to ask ourselves. What is wanted and needed? What is wanted and needed in our relationships with one another, one-on-one? What is wanted and needed in our family, in our workplaces? What is really wanted and needed in our community? What's wanted and needed in our human family? What's wanted and needed in the whole community of life on the planet? What's wanted and needed beyond the life of this planet to cosmic life? And how can you and I respond to that? Amen. So at this time, we're going to, Lakshmi is going to direct us in making an offering to the community. Thank you, Lakshmi.
Thank you, dear Acharya Premadas. And Premadas will be returned shortly to offer his closing thoughts and prayers, our closing prayers. And I just want to thank all the participants who are on the call with us today on this beautiful meditation with us this evening. Thank you for showing up and opening your heart to receive all these wonderful gifts that Premadas is offering to us. And may they inspire you today and tomorrow and forever and ever and ever. So thank you, dear Premadas. At this time, we are gratefully asking and inviting your generous gift, which will help support Awake Yoga Meditation and our sharing of these teachings. There will be a slide on your screen in just a moment with gifting instructions. So it will help you to know how to give to Awake Yoga Meditation and how to give to our dear, sweet Swami Nityananda. She gives so much of herself to all of us, and this is one way that we can help support her physical being on this planet and sharing the teachings that she does with us. After you click on those links, if you need to find your way back to the Zoom call, again, in your computer taskbar, there's a little blue icon with a white movie camera, so that will help you find your way back. And the links can link you to the, if you're not on Zoom, if you're on the phone or joining us through YouTube, if you visit awakeyogameditation.org, you can click on our events tab and you can find a gifting option on that tab. So thank you so very much. And I will share, oops, the slides with us now. Hold on one moment. Thank you so very much. We'll have a little bit of lovely flute music for about 3 minutes.
On your screen now, in a moment, you'll see the prayer of thanksgiving and devotion. Let us please join together in offering this prayer. Heavenly Father, Mother God, May thy love shine forever on the sanctuary of my devotion, and may I be so permeated with thy love that whoever comes into my presence feels upliftment of consciousness and brightness of heart. We thank thee for the outpouring of thy grace. Amen. So a teacher of mine many, many years ago advised me, counseled me that if what we want at that time of transition, that Mahasamadhi, if what we want then to make that a reality, it is absolutely essential for all of us to make that reality our reality now. So time's a wasted. Now is the time for each of us to discover what it is that we want most in our lives, now, here, and together. And thank you for your presence here in the community, your presence here, even if this is your first and only time that you'll ever be joining with us. I know that we are partners, we're fellow lovers of love, of patience, of kindness, of forgiveness, of understanding and wisdom. And that wherever we go on the planet, we are one. In conclusion, we're going to offer the Lord's Prayer, this magnificent prayer that was offered by the Master of Galilee as his response to his disciples, his students, when they asked him, teach us to pray. And this is what he shared with us, and let us share it together now. Our Father, which art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, in earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our debts, as we forgive our debtors. And let us not enter into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, and the power, and the glory forever. Amen. Thank you for your presence. Good night.